So what's going on, YouTube? Thought I'd come back with a little video to give you some more descriptive information about how the installation went and some tips and tricks on how to get this installed. Most of y'all have been keeping track of my channel know that this is an 11 to 14 kit that I made work on a 15 to 17 truck. So there's a couple of noticeable differences. The main thing being the front end's different now. The grill isn't attached to the hood, so you have issues with the intercooler and the piping that's associated with that. I managed to get some of the pieces that were modified for it. So the main thing that you need to be concerned about if you're trying to make 11 to 14 kit fit is the pipes that run on the passenger side that run down through here. There's multiple ways of going about this. So on the original On3 modified kit, unlike the one pieces that I got, I'll show you the pipes. These are the original 11 to 14 pipes. So this is the passenger side right here. This pipe goes up to the intercooler and it comes down and it wraps around the frame, which is in front of this bumper here. And it goes up through this tire and it goes up in through this area right here. So you have to cut that out and it comes up into the bottom and it connects into the passenger side turbo right here. So it's two pipes. That's how it's supposed to be connected right here. So I have them labeled for the next person that's going to receive these so they know the configurations, because I got no information or no instructions on how to install this, and trust me, you would think it'd be straightforward, but it's not. So that's that. So you have this side. So on this kit, it actually went behind the intercooler, and it's hard to see because I have the grill in place now. But I had to cut out, this had the active shutters on it, so I had to cut out all the shutters out of everything, bypass it with ForeScan inside the computer, keep the lights from coming on and keep the shutters from coming on. And the pipe goes actually behind the intercooler, back behind here, and it goes in between where the frame rides right here. It's kind of hard to see, and it goes back and then it comes up down here. Now some people have this, some people don't. My truck has what's called a thermostatic bypass valve, which is essentially the coolant lines that run off of the heater core lines right here. They go down into a little block and it helps heat the transmission fluid to get the temperature of the transmission up faster. That's not necessarily needed where I'm at. I'm in Texas, but it's just the way it is and what I had to deal with. So that thing is actually bolted to the frame on the front side, and I had to basically loosen that up and reposition it on the frame over like closer to this area to where that pipe could come up underneath here and go around. One thing I didn't know, it's just one thing I had to work around. So I had to get that taken care of, and as you can see, I had to extend these lines. So these two lines that are right here are actually going down into that area down there, and they're hooking up to that thermostatic bypass valve. Now, when you move this thing around, you can see all the thermo barrier that I got on here, and this is definitely necessary to keep this pipe from getting all this hot. This is where the ECU is on the 15 and ups. So you have to definitely keep that protected. So I have the pipes wrapped, even though On3 says that voids warranty and it holds heat, cracks, and all that stuff like that. I still feel better about not superheating my computer. But what happened was, when I originally started it up, I had to move all these pipes over, the hard lines, and the quick disconnects that are down here underneath the dryer for the AC actually got pinched a little bit, and it caused them to start leaking. And so I had to take like some zip ties to pull it back straight to where the O-ring would seal. And so if you run into that problem on one of these trucks, you'll know what to do. So that's with the passenger side. There really wasn't anything else that I noticed with that after I put it on. Putting on the hot side, there is one thing I do want to mention, guys. Get some of this stuff. This stuff is amazing. It's Motorcraft RTV silicone sealant. This is specifically designed for the 7.3, the diesel engines, the Power Strokes. It's a gray RTV, super high heat, meant for turbochargers and stuff like that. So you can put that stuff on the driver's side, because the driver's side has a spacer off of the header and off of the head to move all of the hot side over to where the bottom side clears, because all this stuff was really tight, and it comes with a little 3/8 spacer in between the header and the head, and you need to like slather that thing up with that RTV. So Get that done. You could probably get away with using the ultra copper RTV, which I have right here. This stuff right here, this stuff is really good too. But I use this stuff as well. The other thing to note, and I'll show you that as well, is make sure you take calipers to all your V-bands on your hot side and measure the OD from here to here on each side, and measure the other side opposing and make sure they're the same. Because I noticed when I went to combine two of the exhaust sections that were pre-done, the V-bands were two different sizes, and I am fighting exhaust leaks like you would not believe. What I had to end up doing is, a little pro tip, is taking a little multi-layered 3-inch header collector gasket, like a 3-inch, and I cut all the pieces outside of here to where it's just a perfect circle. And I took and put some of this RTV around it, and I put it inside of the V-bands as well, inside here, the grooves and all that stuff like that, and I clamped the shit out of it. So that, just to make sure that that thing wouldn't leak, because I fought that forever. But that's still not the ultimate fix. The ultimate fix is making sure that the V-bands are the same, the flanges are the same on both sides. That's the reason why the V-bands aren't tightening down and keeping that exhaust from leaking. So you have the oxygen sensors right here. This is for my wideband. So that's plugging into the top of the driver's side exit. That's just for me to get a O2 reading post-turbo. I have the oxygen sensors further downstream. Ideally, you would like to have the oxygen sensors that are reading the engines and doing the fueling for the engine pre-turbo, but there's just no spot for that. So you kind of have to do it downstream a little bit, which, I mean, it makes tuning challenging. So, so far it's been good, but that's been a challenge so far. This pipe right here, total pain in the butt. You can see I went ahead, I had a custom cooler overflow here at one point, and then I had to give it to the other guy with a single kit that I sold. Now the pipe that comes down at the bottom here is rubbing really bad, and I'm trying to get the Ford OEM part to see if it'll be routed better to connect to the bottom of this quick connect, which connects right there. But everything's really tight. You can see right here, that's really tight. I can't put air filters on it. I'm gonna have to buy like some stubby air filters and hope that I can get it in front of this and get all this stuff rerouted, because right now I can't put these big honking filters on here. I wish I could. These are the ones that On3 includes, and so they look like they flow pretty well, but I can't get them on there. I went ahead, I had this fitting laid out. So this was the fitting that I had going into my oil pan, and On3 gives you these fittings right here that you're supposed to tap into the oil pan. They're -10, 5/8 equivalent. And so that goes into the side of the oil pan on the passenger side and the driver's side. So it's in the very front. And then you have a drain for each turbo. I went ahead and used what I had that was already installed on the oil pan, and that was a -12. That's what size this is, which is 3/4. And then you have a 1/2 inch line right here, or 5/8 line. So I went ahead and did a Y block, and I Y blocked it from one side, running across in front of the motor over here to the Y block underneath here and up. I don't have very good lighting, or else I would show it to you, but you get the idea. So it goes into a Y block that's right there beside the alternator, and then it runs behind the alternator to that drain into the front of the oil pan. It works pretty good. When I first put this on, it was leaking like crazy. So I went ahead and got a fitting, an Aeroquip fitting, something with a little more quality. Now that's not leaking anymore. Just make sure that the other tip too, and I know most of y'all that are going to be installing these kits understand this, but when you put these V-bands on, expect to take them on and off a few times, and when you do, put some anti-seize on the threads and on the very top, so they don't mushroom. And when they start to mushroom, they'll start to kill the threads, and then you'll be breaking studs off and all that stuff like that. And those V-bands are not cheap. They're about $20 a piece. So you keep doing that over and over, and it gets expensive. Same thing with these little bolts right here. These are really crappy material bolts, and they strip, and they strip out, and they get cross-threaded really easy. So make sure you put some good anti-seize on those bolts. Make sure when you start it up, you let it run, get it heat cycled a few times, and just go around and tighten all the bolts up. Stuff will be loose. So the bolts on back of here for you clocking the turbos, to put them at 12 o'clock for the oil feeds, all that stuff. I went ahead and drilled a hole here on the outlet part of the turbo for my sense line for the boost controller, and then also for the gauge to show my boost as well. You could do it post intercooler, so if you see if there's any kind of restrictions, what kind of boost is actually getting into your motor. This is what's actually going into what's being generated from the turbocharger after the wastegate. So you know, either or, it's really probably not that much restriction across the intercooler. It's a pretty good size intercooler. The only other thing is, oh, move to the passenger side as well. So you have this pipe that comes over here coming down. This pipe turns right here, and it goes underneath the headlight around the core support for the radiator, and you have to cut all kinds of stuff to get that thing to go around there. So when you pull this off and you have to pull the headlight assembly out on my truck, a 15 to 17, you have to cut all that stuff out. Then you have to cut a little piece of the support out that goes from the fender straight over to the core support, because it'll be rattling and stuff real bad. You can see it comes out right down there. Can't really see that much. I apologize for that. And then it comes up and it connects down there, and it comes up with the other piece. So to give you a better idea, here's how it would look. It goes up, and then it curves around, and it goes around underneath the underside of that headlight assembly, and then it comes up to this other pipe right here. And I went ahead and labeled them 1 and 1 so you know which side they go. And it comes up there, and then it goes into the bottom of the turbo. So after you make that modification, it's not that hard to hook up, but originally it is. So just try to leave everything loose. Make sure that you RTV the crap out of everything. I know V-bands are V-bands and they're supposed to seal, but I'm telling you right now, this kit has exhaust leak problems like crazy. My friend's 13 GT that we put together, his On3 kit leaked like crazy. I don't know if he had the same problem with the V-band sizings, because I never took a caliper to it to measure it, but I'm assuming so, because we just had problems after problems with it. The last thing I want to leave with y'all is when you do the piping on the bottom side down here, expect the steering shaft to rub against the bottom part of this pipe here. It is what it is. I tried to move the pipe around, tried to move the header around, tried to move the base piece around, to move the turbo. It's still going to hit. You got this steering shaft that's right there. The down pipe has a pocket recessed into it that's supposed to clear that, but it still hits. You have that problem, and then also the other issue that I had was the pipe that comes around the cross member underneath. There's 2 pipes welded to the top that go into those little exhaust hangers where the transmission mount is. You're more than likely going to have to cut one of them off. So just take a Dremel or something where you can go really, really slow to cut that weld without cutting into the pipe. Cut that off, and you should be good. V-band the back part of the pipes to these pipe sections back here. They come straight back. And then figure out what you want to do for exhaust. I went ahead and didn't use an X pipe. I just have I have 2 Flowmaster, basically Flow FX mufflers that are right here in together, and then they come out lightning style out the side in front of the passenger tire. I like the way it sounds. An X pipe would probably sound better, but you probably don't need the back pressure. You need this exhaust to flow as well as it's going to flow, especially if you're going to be leaning on the turbos hard. If y'all have any questions, let me know. I did not hook up the catch can system that was included with it. I'm going to do that, but I had one from the other kit. This guy right here. And so it's filled up quite a few times with some water. I mean, this E85 collects a lot of water. So I have it running right here, and it goes in between those 2 pipes right there. and then it connects into there, and then it goes over and connects to the other side, and it's really close to this other header downpipe, but seems to be fine so far. But if y'all have any specific questions, let me know. If I need to make a video about it to address it, I can. You're going to have to modify this AC line to get it out of the way, to get the turbo to clear and everything like that too, so expect that. I would definitely buy a whole bunch of this radiant barrier stuff, the sticky stuff. I really like it. I bought a whole bunch of it. I have some more here. If you need a part number, I got it right here. It is off of Amazon. You can see that right there. So anyways, again, the part number for that sealant stuff is right here too. I'll go ahead and focus in on that too. So it's this right here. Anyways, sorry for the video being so long-winded, but I really felt like y'all needed to have a lot of descriptions of how this thing goes together, because it took me probably 2 or 3 weekends by myself of doing it, just because I had to run the part store, get fittings, get all that stuff. If y'all need help with the boost, the vacuum controller stuff, the boost controller stuff, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Anyways, I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.